I have a joke for you. It's just perfect for this week. All right. What did area say to perimeter while arguing? Give up? I'm trying to talk to you, but I feel like you're just going around my problem. That's hilarious, isn't it? All right, so today is Thursday, and first and foremost, I want to remind you that you should be doing your DMP. Should be doing your DMP. We actually have a lot of problems today in math. It's going to be using some division and some multiplication. You need to make sure that you are keeping those skills sharp. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start today with just a little kind of practice pro. There's my thumb. Whole 53 seconds for you to see my thumb. Aren't you lucky? All right, so looking for today, I want you to see if you could, there we go. Could you give me the area and the perimeter of this rectangle? And could you give me the area and the perimeter of this square? All right, why don't you pause it for just a second and see if you can do that. All right, we are back. All right, so hopefully you were able to figure that out. So let's see. On our rectangle, if we wanted to do the perimeter, we have a 7-foot side and a 3-foot side. We would have to do 7 plus 3 plus 7 plus 3. Or you could do 7 times 2 and add that to 3 times 2, which is what I think I'm going to do. All right, 7 times 2 is 14, and 3 times 2 is 6. So the perimeter is 20 feet. That is our perimeter, okay? All right, if I want to know what the area is length times width. So my area would be 7 times 3, which is 21 feet. All right, and let's look at doing the area and perimeter of our square. All right, so this is 9 centimeters. If we're going to do the perimeter of a square, if this side is 9, we got 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9, okay? If I can add all those sides together, or I could do the sides times 4, and 9 times 4 is 36 centimeters. That would be the perimeter of that square. All right, right up here, this is 21 feet squared. All right, and then the area of the square, always length times width, and since the length is 9 and the width is 9, then the area, 9 times 9 is 81 centimeters squared. All right, if you got both of those right, then you are in good shape for this week. All right, so let me erase those. Now, remember that you should be, if you can, you should be printing off these sheets, like I said, if you can, okay? And that's decent. All right, because I'm working them out on here, and you watching me work them out, you're not gonna learn near as much as if you have them in your hands and you're working them out yourself. Okay, so the assessment today, or the assignment for today, it's actually 2 pages. It's the Thinking Up, and it's 255 and 256. So a little bit more than what we're used to. And man, there are some tricky ones on this paper. When I was going through them and doing them ahead of time, I will have to admit that I was tricked a couple of times. All right, so here we go. Let's start with number 1. I feel like that is a pretty decently easy one. Do me a favor, I'll read it and then pause it and see if you can work it out. Which equation cannot, big deal, cannot be used to determine the perimeter of the square? Okay, so you have a square that is 5 inches by 5 inches. Which one of these would not work? Okay, which means you have to pick the one that's wrong, which is kind of confusing sometimes. So pause it for just a second and see if you can do that one. All right, here we go. If we're going to do the perimeter, remember that our perimeter is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. okay? But since this is a square, then our perimeter is just 4 times what the side is. So we're just going to take 4 times 4, okay? Not 4 times 4, 5 times 5. 5. Okay, let me get it together. This is not that hard, Miss Turney. We're going to take 5 times 4 to get what our perimeter would be, okay? Well, that one is right there as one of our choices, okay? So that one is one that we could use. Now, another thing we could do for perimeter is add all the sides together. 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, which is there as well. So this is another one that we could use. All right, well, if you think about it, perimeter, I can do 2 times the length and 2 times the width. It is a square, so that's probably not the way I'll look at it, but I can do 2 times 5 and 2 times 5, and that will give me the perimeter. So the one that I would not use, the one that would not work is 5 times 5, because that would actually be giving me the area, and what I want is the perimeter, okay? All right, looking at number 2. Move this out of my way. Alrighty, here we go. So, Allie bought 2 picture frames. The rectangles represent the sizes of the frame. So here's a picture frame, 16 centimeters by 19 centimeters, and here's a picture frame, 6 centimeters by 8 centimeters. That is a very small picture frame. What is the difference? Difference usually means to subtract in square centimeters between the areas of the 2 picture frames. So it wants us to find the area of this one, the area of this one, and then what is the difference between those areas. Okay, well, I know that area is length times width. Okay, so right here, I'm going to be doing 16 times 19. All right, so if I do 16 times 19. So going back to doing our double-digit division, 9 times 6 is 54. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, but we're not done there. We're done with the 5 and we're done with the 9, but now we have to do our 1. 0 placeholder. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 1 is 2. So my answer, 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. Here's my 0. Carry my 1. 2, 3, 4. No. 2, 3, 4. Is that right? 6, 1. Duh. There we go. And now carry that. 1, 2, there we go. 304. All right. Then 6 times 8 is 48. So now I have to find the difference between 304 and 48. And when I do 304 and I subtract 48, okay, I can't do 4 minus 8, can't borrow from the 0, I'm borrowing from the 3, which is basically borrowing from the 30, 29, making that a 14, 6, 5, and 2, 256. So I'm going to put it right here, 256. And you don't have to put anything after the decimal. All right, let's look at number 3. Number 3. Butch has a closet, a square closet in his bedroom. He wants to find the area of the floor of the closet. He measures the length of one side of the floor. What other measurement does Butch need to find the area of the closet floor? Pause this for just a moment and see if you can figure out what is the correct answer. All right, so if his floor is square and he has this one right here, okay, we could just make up any number. We could say that it is 6 feet. Since it's a square, we know that all the sides are equal. So if this is 6 feet, then that is 6 feet, and that is 6 feet, and that is 6 feet. So he doesn't need to know any other measurements in order to figure out the area or to figure out the perimeter. Whatever he's figuring out, it doesn't matter. He just needs one side because he knows that it's a square. All right, here we go. Number 4. Miss Gardner is paving the sidewalk in front of her home with square tiles. The perimeter of each tile is 40 inches. Which pair of equations can be used to find the area of each tile in square inches? Okay, so this one is interesting because we have someone who is doing like a sidewalk, okay? And in the sidewalk that she's building, she maybe is going to be doing these squares, these tiles, okay, in her sidewalk. All right, well, here is what is interesting. Just can't see anything. I feel like the light, that's better. All right, so here's what's interesting about these tiles. It says that the perimeter of each tile is 40. Okay, so that means that the perimeter of this tile all the way around is 40. Well, let's think about what we know about perimeter. Okay, if I have a square, if the whole thing, if the perimeter is 40, what does each one of those have to be in order for the perimeter to be 40? They would each have to be 10. Okay? Because if I want the perimeter, it would be 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. The perimeter equals 40. So the question says, which pair of equations can be used to find the area of each tile? Okay, so it doesn't want the perimeter of each tile. It wants the area of each tile. Okay, so what I had to do first is I had to figure out, okay, what is each side if the perimeter is 40? Each side is 10. Well, now that I know that each side is 10, I can find my area, okay? Because my area of a square is just 4 times whatever that side is. And the side was 10, okay? Length times width, 10 times 10, sorry. That's not area, that's perimeter. Area is the length times the width. All right, that which is 10 times 10, which is 100. Okay, so it's asking me which equation did I use to figure that out. And this is the one that I had to use right there. Pay attention because I think there is one like this on your Friday assignment that you'll be doing on your own, okay? So before I could figure out the area, I had to figure out if the perimeter is 40, okay? Perimeter is 40, what is each side? Oh, it has to be 10. And now that I know that since it's a square, what is the area? Length times width, 10 times 10 is 100. So a couple of steps in figuring that out. That was definitely one of those multi-step problems. All right, let's look at number 5, Mateo. Mateo used 154 feet of rope to enclose a rectangular area for a carnival. The enclosed area is 51 feet long. What is the width of the enclosed area? So it gives us and tells us that in order to go all the way around the edge of this area right here, okay, how much rope did he use? 154 feet, okay? So the perimeter was 154 feet. That's the perimeter, 154 feet. It gives us this side right here, which is 51. Well, if that side is 51, what is this side? Yep, it has to be 51. So if this side is 51, then that side is 51, okay? So what we have to do is it wants us to be able to figure out, okay, well then what is this side? If we've got the total perimeter and we've got the length of one of the sides, which is 51, we've got to figure out what these two are right here. All right, the way that I would do that, I've got to have my total. If I subtract this and subtract this, that should give me what those two are, okay? So if I do 154 and I subtract 51 and then subtract 51 again, or I could just subtract 102 because 51 plus 51 is 102. So I'm just going to subtract 102. 4 minus 2 is 2. 5 minus 0 is 5. That gives me 52. But here's the thing. 52 is not this answer, okay? You can't have 52 as an answer because 51 plus 52 plus 51 plus 52 is not 154. 52 is what both of those are together. Both of those together are 52. Okay, which means in order to figure out what those are, I would have to divide 52 divided by 2. That gives me 26. So if I wanted to check my work, I could come over here and I could say, all right, let me make sure I have it right. Is 51 plus 51 plus 26 plus 26, does it equal what it says, that 154? And yes, it does. So B is your answer. Woo, there was a lot of steps in that one. Lots of steps in that one. All right, let's turn over and take a look at number 6. All right, Nichelle measures her rectangular bedroom ceiling and determines she needs 48 feet of wallpaper border to put around the ceiling. Okay, so she's got a rectangular ceiling. So this is her ceiling right here. She needs 48 feet of border. Okay, that's key. Okay, the word border is key because we're not talking about area. If we're talking about border, we're talking about perimeter. Okay, we're talking about the perimeter right here. And it says that she needs 48 feet of border. So it's telling us that the perimeter is 48. It's giving us the perimeter, all right? And it wants to know if the length of Nichelle's ceiling is 14 feet. The length is 14. So it's saying that right here, from there to there, is 14. Well, what do we know about a rectangle? From there to there is 14. That has to be 14 as well. So it gives us the total and gives us two parts. Think back to our strip diagrams. When it gives us the total and then gives us two parts, we're going to be subtracting because what we've got to do is we've got to figure out what these two sides are. I tell you what I want you to do. I want you to pause it and I want you to see if you can figure out what this side is and what this side is based on the information we have. Go ahead and pause it now. All right, so if I have 48 and I subtract the 14 and the 14, okay, so I can do 48 minus 14 minus 14, but I want to do two separate problems. So I know that 14 plus 14 is 28, okay? So I'm going to do 48 minus 28, that's going to give me 20. Both of those together are 20. And if both of those together are 20, that means this side has to be 10 and that side has to be 10. So the question says, what is the width? The width was 10 feet. Woo, explain how you found your answer. Well, let's see. What I did was I took 48, which was the perimeter, and I basically subtracted 14 and subtracted 14, and that gave me 20. And then I did 20, and I divided that by 2, and that gave me 10. And that was my answer. All right. These are getting challenging, aren't they? They are. All right, so let's look at number 7. Ooh, number 7. I spent a lot of time figuring out number 7. All right. Liam's dad built a wooden deck in the backyard. The rest of the yard is planted with grass. A diagram of the backyard is shown. What is the area planted with grass? Show your work. So here we have a backyard area, okay? It says that this is the wooden deck, okay? So if you think about a wooden deck, I'm gonna just lightly, I'm gonna shade in this wooden deck. Now, they do give us the dimensions of this right here, okay? It says that the whole backyard from here to here is 15 meters, and from there to there is 10 meters. So I know the area of the entire thing. I can figure that out really easily. All right, the area of all of it, length times width, 15 times 10 is 150 meters squared. That's the area of all of this whole thing, okay? But it's not asking us the area of all of it. It's asking us the area of the grass. What is the area of the grass? Okay? So the grass is going to be all of this. This green area, that is the grass. In the backyard, area for the kids to play. Mom and dad are sitting on the deck, chilling. Kids are playing in the grass. It wants the area of all of this. Okay, well, a really difficult way to do that would be to draw yourself all your little squares. Let's see, that's 15, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which means I've got 5 left over, so there must be 2 on this side and 3 on this side, and start drawing all of the squares. I kind of started doing that when I was working it out, because I was checking my work, and that is a difficult way to do it. There's a much easier way to do it. If I figure out what the area of the deck is, then I should be able to do what operation? Subtract. If I figure out the area of the deck, I can subtract it from the total area, and that would give me what I have for the grass. Okay, so then I'm going to figure out the area for the deck. Well, the wooden deck is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 10 by 6. That's what the X is, 10 by 6. And in order to find area, I do length times width, which is 10 by 6, which is going to be 60 meters squared. So the whole thing is 150, but just the wooden deck area is 60. So if I take the total area and subtract just the wooden deck, that is going to give me 90. 90 meters squared is the area of the grass. Woo, that was a lot of work. All right, let's keep going. Let's look at number 9. All right, number 9. Several Olympic sports are played on indoor courts. The table shows 3 Olympic sports and the dimensions in feet of the rectangle courts on which they are played. Find the area and perimeter of the courts. All right, so it's basically given us numbers. A basketball court is 28 by 15. What's the perimeter? What's the area? A volleyball court is 18 by 9. What's the perimeter? What's the area? Okay, tell you what, I'm going to do basketball with you, and then I'll have you do volleyball and badminton. All right, so if we're thinking of basketball, basketball is 28 by 15. And the basketball (28 by 15). All right, in order to figure out the perimeter, I would do 28 plus 15 plus 28 plus 15. And that's going to give me 28 plus 15 plus 28 plus 15 is going to give me 86. So that is my perimeter. Now I could have done 28 times 2 and 15 times 2 and added that together. All right, in order to get the area, which is length times width, I'm going to do 28 times 15. All right, and when I do 28 times 15, I get 420. 420. All right, so we're right in 86 and 420. All right, I want you to do the same thing with volleyball and the same thing with badminton. Go ahead and figure out the perimeter, figure out the area, and write them down in this chart. Pause, please. All right, let's see how you did. All right, so for volleyball, this is for volleyball. I had 18 by 9. 18 by 9. So for the perimeter of volleyball, I can take 18 plus 18 plus 9 plus 9. And that gives me 54. So your perimeter should have been 54. And if I do the area is length times width. 18 times 9. 8 times 9 is 72. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 7 is 16. That gives me 162 square feet. There you go. Hopefully you got that one correct. And the last one here is badminton. I'm not even sure you know what badminton is. It's not a game that people play very often anymore. All right, we have 13 by 6. 13 by 6 in order to find the perimeter. 13 plus 13 plus 6 plus 6. Or you can do 13 times 2 and add that to 6 times 2. If I do 13, 13, 6, and 6, I get 38. That would be the perimeter. If I want to find the area, I have to do 13 times 6. And 13 times 6 is 78. All right, so you should have written that in your chart. So this was 54, 162, 38, and 78. All right, let's go to our very last one. Number 9. Last question. Trevor folds a square sheet of paper in half vertically. All right, he then folds the paper in half horizontally to form 4 congruent squares. Congruent just means same size and same shape. The model represents the paper. So here it is right there. The perimeter of each square is 48 centimeters. What is the perimeter of Trevor's original sheet of paper? So I actually took a sheet of paper. I've got a square, okay, and I folded it this way and this way, okay, and now I have these 4 congruent squares, and they are all the same. Pay very close attention to this because I'm pretty sure there's one like this on your Friday assignment. You'll be doing it on your own. Here's the thing. It says that the perimeter of each square is 48 centimeters, okay? That means the perimeter of this square right here, okay, the whole thing, the perimeter is 48 centimeters. All of those together. So I've got to figure out what each side is. In order to do that, I'm going to have to take 48 and divide it by 4, okay? 48 divided by 4. 48 divided by 4 is 12. That means that this is 12 centimeters, and this is 12 centimeters, and so on and so forth. It's asking us what is the perimeter of the paper. Okay, so if that is 12 centimeters, and that's just one of the boxes, that means that this one is 12, and 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 this one is 12. So we've got 12 and 12 and 12. They're all 12, but remember there's 2 parts to it, okay? So if we're looking at it this way, if this one is 12 and this one is 12, then what is the whole thing together? 24. So that means the length is 24 and it's a square. So if that one's 24, then they're all 24. So what is the perimeter of his original sheet of paper? We've got 24 plus 24 plus 24 plus 24, or you could do 24 times 4, and that would give you 96 centimeters. All right, that's starting with the perimeter as a whole and then coming down to what each side would have to be. All right, explaining how you found your answer. Well, we took the total, which was 48, right? And we divided that by 4 in order to get 12. And then we did 12 times 2 to get to 24. Then we did 24 times 4 to get to 96. That was a lot of work. All right, so remember that now that you've done with this, you've got to go put your answers on the sheet so that you can get credit for your completion of your Monday through Thursday work. That is it. Tomorrow will be our assignment, and then you will be done for the week. Bye-bye.